When I lost everything, my wife not only sneered coldly but mocked that failure was written in my very DNA. But I never told her that by selling a secret patent, I had already amassed a fortune of 4.8 million. When she abandoned me for a younger flame, I let her walk away with everything. Months later, when the truth came to light, both she and her lawyer were struck speechless, stunned beyond words. Failure is written in your genes, Maxwell. Just that one sentence. No build-up, no transition, just a direct verdict. For 17 p.m., the day of the layoff, standing at my doorstep clutching a cardboard box, that's what I heard. Not comfort, not concern, but a judgment. A woman's final assessment of her husband after 5 years of marriage. Vivian stood in the living room, phone in hand, the screen showing a reservation confirmation for some upscale restaurant. Not for me. She didn't even bother to look up at me. In her eyes, I had become a complete failure, not worth a second of her attention. "The company's layoff list is out?" she asked, her tone like asking, "Did you take out the trash today?" "Yeah, as expected." She finally lifted her head, and that look in her eyes I'll never forget in my lifetime. Not sympathy, not regret, but disgust. Pure, unconcealed disgust that she wanted the whole world to know about. "Your department was always a marginal one anyway. Doing low-level architecture work, what technical content does that have? Now AI can write code. Maxwell, you're simply not suited for this era. Not suited for this era." Such a civilized phrase, used to wrap such a cruel reality. You're worthless. I looked at her. This woman I once loved. This woman I woke up early every day to make breakfast for. This woman I handed my salary card over to manage, was now telling me in the coldest way possible, "Your value has returned to zero." My phone vibrated in my pocket. "There's an event tonight, Landon's new project financing roadshow." Her voice suddenly became light and cheerful, like a young girl receiving her first love letter. "I need to go early to help out. You handle dinner yourself. Oh, and don't wait up. I might be back very late." Landon, 26 years old, returned from overseas, a so-called serial entrepreneur. This name appeared in our household more frequently than the word husband. Vivian was his PR consultant. Consulting fee, not a penny received. She said this was investing in the future. Said Landon's project valuation would break 100 million. Said following him she could see a bigger world. I wanted to laugh. A fraud whose company didn't even have actual registered capital was the future in her eyes, while someone who truly mastered core technology was worthless in her eyes. This is human nature. People only believe what they want to believe, only see what they want to see. "Okay," I said. She picked up that designer bag. Last month to buy this bag, she maxed out her credit card. The bill exceeded 12,000. Money I saved working overtime for a month. She spent in one afternoon. Then came home and told me, "A woman needs to have taste, understand? Otherwise, how can you make it in social circles?" The moment the door closed, I pulled out my phone. Unread email from Vision Tech Acquisitions Department. Subject: Final price confirmation regarding deep compress data compression algorithm. Offer: 4.8 million yuan, pre-tax. I stood in this 8,500 monthly rent living room, looking at this email. Ironic, too ironic. That broken code she'd mocked for 5 years. That project she told me to stop wasting time on. That thing she said, "Can it put food on the table?" Now someone was willing to pay 4.8 million for. And her future? That Landon? I checked his background. His chain-link technology, business registration showed. Registered capital 500,000. Actual paid in zero. His partners. I called to verify each one. Either insurance salespeople or financial intermediaries. Not a single real investment institution. His roadshow was just renting a meeting room in a co-working space, finding a few shills to take photos for social media. But Vivian couldn't see through it. Or rather, she didn't want to see through it. Because Landon was young. Landon could talk smoothly. Landon's social media was all upscale restaurants and business photos. And me, 35 years old, checkered shirts, Few words, didn't know how to market myself. In her world, packaging always mattered more than content. Filters always worth more than reality. Fine. Then I'll let you see what you actually lost when you threw away content for packaging. I replied to the email, confirmed, accepting the offer, then deleted the email, emptied the recycle bin. As if nothing had ever happened. Deep Compress wasn't born overnight. This was a project I started during my graduate studies in computer science. Back then, streaming media was just emerging. Everyone was working on application layer stuff, interfaces, interaction, user experience. No one wanted to work on the underlying infrastructure. Because infrastructure isn't sexy. Infrastructure doesn't show immediate results. Infrastructure requires solid technical foundations. But I liked infrastructure. I discovered a new compression algorithm that could compress video file sizes to 40% of original while maintaining almost no quality loss. Theoretically, this could double global streaming transmission speeds while cutting costs in half. Before graduation, I used my mother's inheritance of 200,000 yuan to me. Her only request before she passed was, "Save it, don't tell anyone," to apply for a patent. The patent was registered under a small company that my mother's lawyer helped me set up before she died. Annual maintenance fee, 8,000. After marriage, Vivian managed all our money. She created an Excel spreadsheet, recording every single expense. Monthly rent, utilities, takeout, clothes, cosmetics, precise to the one's place. But that 8,000 I paid from my personal account every year. That account was saved from freelance income, never exceeded 50,000. Vivian knew about this account's existence, but she didn't care. In her eyes, what was 50,000? Not even enough for her to buy a bag. She didn't know that from this 50,000, 8,000 went to maintaining a broken patent. She completely dismissed every year. "Your compression algorithm thing," she said more than once. "Can it be exchanged for a car? Can it be exchanged for a school district apartment? Maxwell, you're 35 years old, still messing with these pointless things. Landon is only 26 and about to get Series C funding. And you? Still writing code." I remember most clearly from 2 years ago. That evening she came home from overtime. I had just finished optimizing code. Compression rate improved by 15%. I was especially excited, wanted to share with her. "Honey, my algorithm made progress. Look. This video was originally 800 M, now compressed to 320 M, but the quality. Can it put food on the table?" She didn't even look at my screen. "Do you know Landon met with 3 investors today? He's only 26 and about to get Series C funding. You're 35, still messing around with these useless things. Maxwell, when will you ever grow up? When will you grow up?" In her definition, growing up meant abandoning technology, learning PowerPoint, learning packaging, learning to boast. In her world, writing code was childish, writing PowerPoint was mature. Doing real work was useless, doing surface work was smart. From then on, I never mentioned the algorithm to her again. She thought I'd given up. Actually, I just stopped talking about it. Those 2 years, I continued optimizing code every day after work. When she thought I was playing games, I was testing compression effectiveness. When she thought I was scrolling on my phone, I was reviewing research papers. Silence isn't surrender. Silence is accumulation. Last October, VisionTech found me. They run a streaming platform with millions of users. Their technical team was searching online for compression algorithms and stumbled upon my patent. In the first video conference, their technical director remained silent for a full 30 seconds after watching the demo. Then he said, "Mr. Maxwell, I've been in tech for 20 years, seen countless algorithms. But yours, I can only say, this is what real technology looks like." We negotiated for 3 months. From last October to this January, we revised terms again and again, tested effectiveness again and again. This January, they gave the final offer, 4.8 million pre-tax. I was in the kitchen cooking at the time. Vivian was video chatting with Landon in the living room, laughing delightfully. I turned off the stove, walked into the bathroom, looked at myself in the mirror. 35 years old, fine lines at the corners of my eyes, hair starting to thin. An unemployed man despised by his wife. I asked that person in the mirror, "What are you going to do? Tell her now. Watch her face suddenly change. Then continue this marriage that's long been dead in name only? Or let her continue believing her own judgment? Let her use her own hands to personally push away this 4.8 million? I chose the latter, not because I wanted revenge, but because I wanted to see how far a person would go when judging purely by appearances. I wanted to see what a person would ultimately lose when believing packaging over content. More importantly, I wanted her to prove with her own hands that she didn't deserve this 4.8 million. At 8 p.m., I ordered takeout. Spicy hot pot, 28 yuan. Halfway through eating, I heard sounds at the door. I thought Vivian had come back, but through the peephole, I saw her and Landon standing outside. She was laughing, the kind of smile I hadn't seen in a long time. Landon's hand rested on her waist. They didn't come in. They stood at the door for about 2 minutes. I heard Landon say, "Once you're done with it, we can. I'm already looking at properties. That Riverside development, fully furnished, over 200 square meters." Vivian's voice was very small. "Soon. He's unemployed now. Perfect timing to apply pressure. My lawyer friend says as long as he signs, everything will be settled after. Your ex-husband," Landon laughed, "seems pretty honest. These honest types are easiest to deal with." "More than honest," Vivian said. "Completely spineless. All these years I've said whatever and he's listened. This divorce, he definitely won't resist either." The sound of the elevator doors closing. I stood behind the door, continuing to eat my spicy hot pot. The soup had gone cold, but I didn't feel cold at all, because my heart was colder. 5 years of marriage, in her mouth just 4 words. Honest, spineless. Everything I'd done for her, in her eyes just 2 words. Obedient. Obedience isn't love, it's domestication. Gentleness isn't a quality, it's weakness. That was her logic. Fine. Then I'll continue being obedient. See what you end up getting. The next morning, Vivian got up at 7 a.m. Usually her earliest was 8 a.m. "We need to talk," she said, sitting across from me with her coffee. She didn't make me any. "Okay. Maxwell, our marriage has reached its end." She said it calmly, like delivering a work report. "We've been together 5 years. I see no future. You're unemployed now, 35 years old. Even finding another job will be the same old thing. I don't want to still be worrying about rent at 40. I noticed a detail. She said, "I see no future." "Not we." She said, "I don't want to wait until 40. Not we. From beginning to end, only I. No we." In her eyes, marriage was never a community of shared destiny between 2 people, but one person's tool for advancement. "Is it because of Landon?" I asked. She froze for a moment, then nodded. She didn't even bother pretending anymore. "Not entirely, but Landon showed me another kind of possibility. He's young, ambitious, has prospects. I must consider my own future, consider myself." Such a high-sounding reason. "Okay," I said. "Then let's divorce." She obviously hadn't expected me to agree so quickly. All those arguments she'd prepared, those accusations, those threats, all went unused. "You aren't angry? Would being angry help?" I took a sip of plain water. "How do we divide things?" She pulled out a document, looked like she'd prepared it last night. Obviously, she'd been planning this divorce for a long time. Although the house is rented, the furniture and appliances were bought by me, worth about 50,000. The car is in your name, but I paid the down payment. Current market value is about 150,000. Savings total 80,000. 30,000 was wedding money from my parents. Added up, you owe me 150,000. I looked at that list. Refrigerator, washing machine, sofa, TV. Each item had a price. Precise to the hundreds place. "Also," she continued, "that patent of yours, that's marital property too, right? Although I don't know if it's worth anything, legally it should also be divided. Here it comes." This was the critical moment. I pulled out my phone, opened the patent documents. This one. She glanced at it, saw all those dense technical terms and frowned. That's it. How much is it worth? Theoretically, it might have value. But right now no one's buying. I deliberately sighed and shook my head. Plus it costs $8,000 in annual maintenance fees. Just paid this month. The account is basically empty. If you want a share, you'd have to pay half the $8,000 every year going forward. $8,000. Her expression changed. You spend $8,000 every year on this broken thing? It was mother's will requirement. I said, I have no choice. Plus my lawyer said, for uncommercialized patents like this, value is very hard to assess. What if it continues losing money? She thought for a while. I could see the abacus clicking away in her eyes. 8,000 yuan a year. 40,000 over 5 years. Not counting potential future investments. Plus, she completely didn't understand this thing. Didn't know what use it had. In her eyes, this was just a burden that would keep losing money. Then this way, she said, I don't want this patent. Too troublesome. What if we have to keep spending money on it? But you need to compensate me 200,000. The house, car, savings are all mine. You take your broken patent, I take my tangible assets. Fair trade. Fair trade. I almost laughed out loud. 4.8 million for 200,000. This is a fair trade. I don't have a job now. Where would I get 200,000? I pretended to look troubled. Then write an IOU. She immediately said. Obviously she'd thought of this solution long ago too. Pay in installments, 5,000 per month, for 3 years. If you can't find work and can't pay, then use the patent as debt repayment. That thing is waste paper in your hands anyway. She'd already thought through all her fallback options. I can borrow it, I said. But there's one condition. The divorce agreement must clearly state, the wife voluntarily waives the deep compressed data compression algorithm patent and any current and future revenues it generates. The husband waives furniture and appliances, vehicle, and savings. Both parties will not pursue each other. Any future property disputes have nothing to do with the other party. Those 4 words, future revenues, were ones I specifically added. This was a trap she would voluntarily jump into herself. Vivian called her lawyer friend Nadia. Nadia handled family law, very experienced. Vivian, are you sure you want to give up that patent? Nadia said, looking at the agreement. Although it might not be worth anything now, but what if later? What if what? Vivian interrupted her. Someone who can't even find a job, what valuable thing could he come up with? Plus I already had someone check. This patent has no commercialization record. No company has shown interest. It's just a money-burning toy. I want that 200,000 cash. Enough for my and Landon's startup capital. Hearing this sentence, I almost couldn't maintain my expression. My and Landon's startup capital. She even said that out loud. In her eyes, I was completely out of the picture. No need to consider my feelings at all. Nadia shrugged. All right then, I've reviewed the agreement for you, legally no problems. Go ahead and sign. March 15, 2024, we signed at the Civil Affairs Bureau entrance. The whole process took 22 minutes. 5 years of marriage ended in 22 minutes. As soon as Vivian came out, she immediately messaged Landon. Done. Celebrating tonight. She didn't even bother pretending. I watched her figure disappear into the spring sunlight. She wore that 3000 plus trench coat, stepping in newly bought high heels, looking relaxed and happy, like she'd finally shed a burden. I went to the bank and withdrew 200,000. This was everything I'd saved from freelancing over the years. When I handed it to her, she didn't even count it, just stuffed it straight into her bag. Maxwell, she said before leaving, good luck to you. Hope you can find a job. Also hope you can find a woman who doesn't despise you. A woman who doesn't despise me. This sentence was her final summary of our 5-year marriage. In her eyes, I was the one who needed to be not despised. I said nothing, because saying anything was pointless now. She turned and left. High heels clicking on the floor tiles, the sound crisp. That moment, I suddenly felt very relaxed. Not the pain of losing a wife, but the relief of unloading a heavy burden. Turns out, being abandoned by someone who doesn't love you is actually a kind of liberation. I moved out of that 2-bedroom apartment, rented a single room in an old neighborhood. Monthly rent 1,800. 20 square meters, 1 bed, 1 desk, 1 simple wardrobe. The bathroom was shared, at the end of the hallway. The landlady was Mrs. Chun in her 60s, looking at me with eyes full of sympathy. Young man, just divorced, right? That's good. That's good. Men feel lighter after divorce. I smiled and nodded, didn't explain. That evening, I received confirmation email from VisionTech. First payment of 1.5 million had been deposited. The remainder would be paid in 3 installments over 6 months. Tax planning was done, everything legal and compliant. I didn't celebrate, didn't post on social media, didn't tell anyone. I just lay on that hard single-room bed, listening to the music from aunties dancing downstairs, looking at the yellowed ceiling. On my phone, 1.5 million quietly sat in the account, and I lay in a 1,800 monthly rent apartment. This scene couldn't be more ironic. Vivian's social media was especially lively over the next 2 months. Her and Landon's photos together. Upscale restaurants, cafes, co-working spaces. Landon wearing 3-piece suits, striking various successful person poses. Starting a new chapter in life. Meeting the right person. Seeing a bigger world. All in on dreams. Betting tomorrow will be better. She even posted a photo. Landon doing a roadshow on stage. Suited investors sitting below. Caption: "Proud of you. Cheering for our future." I occasionally clicked to look. Not because I still loved her, but to confirm certain things. Like those investors. I recognized 3 of them. One was an insurance salesman, one was a financial intermediary, and one was HR from my old company who left to do multi-level marketing. And like Landon's Chainlink Technology. I checked their business registration change records. Registered capital increased from 500,000 to 5 million, but actual paid-in still 0. Typical PowerPoint company. But Vivian couldn't see through it. Or rather, she didn't want to see through it. Because admitting Landon was a fraud meant admitting she herself had misjudged. Meant admitting she abandoned her marriage for a fraud. The biggest weakness of human nature isn't ignorance, but not daring to admit one's own ignorance. One day in May, I received a strange call. "Is this Mr. Maxwell? I'm a financial advisor from National Wealth. A Miss Vivian recommended you, said you have a sum of money that needs financial planning." I hung up. 2 days later, Vivian sent me a WeChat message. This was the first time she'd actively contacted me since the divorce. "Maxwell, what kind of work are you doing lately? Landon's project needs some technical people, although the pay isn't high, we can give you equity. Do you want to?" I replied, "Don't need it. Thank you." She instantly replied, "You're still so stubborn. But that's right, you never understood what opportunity means anyway. Forget it, I was just asking out of kindness. You keep looking for your job. Out of kindness." I laughed. She contacted me not out of kindness, but because Landon needed free labor. She recommended me for financial services not for my benefit, but because she could get a commission. Her kindness always had a prefix. For herself. I didn't reply again. Early June, people from VisionTech took me out for a meal. Location was a restaurant downtown, 600 per person average. Technical director Dennis, in his 40s, wearing gold-framed glasses, a renowned tech expert in the industry. "Maxwell, your algorithm has been tested on our streaming platform," he said while eating. "Results are excellent. We're planning to publicly announce this technology at a press conference. Once this thing is released, the whole industry will be shaken." "When?" "July 15th. Grand Hotel," he said. "Do you want to attend? We'd like to invite you as the technology inventor to come on stage and introduce it." I thought about it. Might not be convenient to show my face. "Why?" Dennis looked at me. "You're not hiding from someone, are you?" I smiled, didn't answer. Dennis smiled too. "All right, I understand. But according to the contract, we can publicly disclose the patent owner's name. After all, this is a legitimate business acquisition. The honor that's yours, you can't escape. That's fine, I said. Nothing left to hide anyway. By the way, Dennis suddenly said, your ex-wife, her name's Vivian, right? I froze. How do you know? Her company took our press conference PR contract. Dennis said, coincidental, right? In that instant, I understood what fate means. Some people are destined to see you when they least want to. Some things are destined to be known when least wanting them known. That makes it even more interesting, I said. Dennis looked at me and smiled. You're an interesting person. A 4.8 million patent, you seem completely unconcerned. I cared when I needed to care, I said. Now it's just letting some people see the price of their own choices. The next day, I received the second payment, 1.5 million. Account balance, 3 million. I opened investment accounts at the bank, made some conservative allocations, then bought myself a new computer, 12,000. This was the first time I spent big money on myself. The rest of the money I didn't touch a cent, because I knew the biggest show was still ahead. July 15th, Vision Tech Press Conference. Location: Grand Hotel, 3rd floor banquet hall. Theme: Next Generation Streaming Technology Revolution. I hadn't planned to go, but the night before, I received a message. Sender: Nadia, Vivian's lawyer friend. Maxwell, tomorrow's press conference. Vivian took the PR contract. She doesn't know it's your technology. I think you should know about this. Also, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have been so certain in advising her to give up the patent then. I really didn't think. I looked at this message for a long time. Finally decided to go. Not to show off, but to see with my own eyes what her expression would be when she discovered the truth. I wanted to see how a value system verified over 5 years collapses completely in 5 minutes. The press conference was set for 2 p.m. I arrived at 1:50, didn't use the main entrance, entered from the side door. Staff recognized me, respectfully led me to the backstage lounge. Through one-way glass, I could see the entire venue. Capacity for 300. Front rows all media reporters, middle was investors and partners, back rows were tech industry people. Then I saw Vivian. She stood at the lower left of the stage, wearing a black professional outfit, holding a walkie-talkie, directing staff. She looked very professional, very capable, just like she'd always shown the world. Refined, efficient, successful. Landon stood beside her. He wore that 3-piece suit I'd seen many times, hair slicked shiny, chatting with people nearby. I could see he wore a watch on his hand. I recognized it, a luxury brand, fake. Genuine would cost 300,000, his knockoff probably 3,000. But to people who didn't know, this was standard successful person equipment. The highest realm of packaging is making people unable to see its packaging. 2 p.m. sharp. Lights dimmed. I saw Vivian say a few words into the walkie-talkie, then retreat to the side. VisionTech's logo appeared on the big screen. The host took the stage. Good afternoon, distinguished guests. Today we're releasing a core technology that will change the streaming industry. Deep compress data compression algorithm. I saw Vivian's body stiffen slightly. She turned her head, quickly searching for something on her tablet. Should be the press conference materials. This technology can compress video size to 40% of original while guaranteeing picture quality. This means global video transmission speeds will double. Costs will be cut in half. The inventor of this technology. The host paused. All the venue lights dimmed. Only the spotlight at center stage remained bright. Now let us welcome Mr. Maxwell. In that moment, the entire venue went quiet. I walked out from backstage, along the side aisle toward the stage. With each step, I could feel gazes gathering. When I walked onto the stage, I saw Vivian's face. She stood there. The tablet in her hands fell to the ground, making a crisp, shattering sound. Her mouth slightly open, eyes vacant, her whole person like someone had pressed pause. Landon grabbed her arm, leaned close to her ear saying something, but she had no reaction at all, just stared at me on stage. That look in her eyes, I'll never forget it in my lifetime. Not anger, not regret, but disbelief. A person's worldview was collapsing with a thunderous crash. Dennis came on stage, shook hands with me. Mr. Maxwell's algorithm improved our video transmission efficiency by 60%, while quality loss is less than 5%. In our internal testing, this technology improved user viewing experience by 300%. This will completely change the entire industry. The big screen started playing technical demonstrations. Data, charts, comparison videos. One video, original size 800 after compression 320 playback effect almost no difference. Another video, 4K quality, original 5G, after compression 2G, completely indistinguishable to the naked eye. Technical people below began discussing, eyes full of shock. I stood on stage, spent 15 minutes explaining technical principles. In these 15 minutes, every sentence I spoke, every technical term, was the useless stuff Vivian had once despised. Low-level architecture optimization. She said this had no technical content. Data compression algorithm. She said this was, can it put food on the table? Encoding efficiency improvement. She said this was always messing with pointless stuff. Now, these useless things, under the gaze of 300 people below, were being introduced as industry-changing innovation. Turns out, value didn't disappear, she just couldn't see it. Speech ended. Applause filled the venue. Very enthusiastic applause. I looked toward the audience. Vivian still stood there, face pale as paper. Landon was no longer beside her. I saw him walking out very quickly, like he was fleeing from something. After the press conference ended, I prepared to leave from backstage. Maxwell. Vivian chased after me. She ran too fast, almost twisted her ankle in high heels. She leaned against the wall, gasping for breath. You? When did you? Her voice was trembling, wanting to say something but not knowing where to start. When did I sell the patent? I completed the question for her. March. The week before our divorce, negotiations concluded. Official transaction was the day after the divorce. 4.8 million. Her voice was almost inaudible. You tricked me into thinking that patent was worthless. I didn't trick you. I said calmly, each word very clear. I said, right now no one's buying. I didn't say, no one will buy in the future. Plus, it was you who said you wanted to give it up. Remember? I want 200,000 cash. Enough for my and Landon's startup capital. She stepped back, leaned against the wall. Vivian, I said, do you remember that sentence you said? Failure is written in your genes. You were right. I really don't understand the rules of your world. I don't know how to create personas on social media, don't know how to use PowerPoint to deceive investors, don't know how to package myself with designer brands. But I understand my code. I understand those broken things you looked down on. You thought I was wasting time, actually I was building value. You thought you took everything, actually you only took the part you could see. Maxwell. She wanted to say something. The agreement was drafted by you, the lawyer was found by you, the terms were added by you. I interrupted her. You said, the wife voluntarily waives this patent and any current and future revenues it generates. It was your lawyer friend Nadia who suggested adding the future revenues clause. She said this way was safer, could prevent me from going back on my word later. Now you know. I respect the agreement. You took the house, car, 200,000 cash. I kept the broken code you looked down on. Fair trade. Vivian leaned against the wall, slowly slid down to sit on the ground. Her professional outfit was wrinkled, makeup smeared, tears streaming down her face. She looked very disheveled. A completely different person from the commanding PR director 2 hours ago. Turns out, a person's collapse only takes 5 minutes. Do you hate me? She suddenly asked. I thought about it. I did hate you, but not anymore. You taught me something. Never let others define your value. That Landon. Her voice very small. His company is fake, isn't it? I didn't answer, but she got her answer from my silence. You knew all along. she said. But you didn't tell me. I told you, I said. Last December, when you brought him to our house. I said his project's business logic had problems. The underlying technical architecture simply didn't exist. You said I was jealous, because I couldn't do it myself. You said I had a small mindset, couldn't stand seeing others succeed. She lowered her head, shoulders beginning to tremble. Vivian, I never stopped you from making any choice, I said. It was you who chose to believe Landon's suits and PowerPoint, chose to ignore my code. You have the right to make choices, but you also must bear the consequences of your choices. I turned to leave. Maxwell, she said behind me. If I hadn't been so materialistic back then, hadn't forced you to divorce, I stopped walking, didn't turn around. There are no ifs, I said. You took what you wanted. I kept what I cared about. This is the best ending. What you wanted was visible money. What I wanted was accomplishable work. What you pursued was others' recognition. What I cared about was my own value. So, from the very beginning, we were never the same kind of people. Walking out of the hotel lobby, the sunlight outside was wonderful. July weather, burning hot. But I felt very comfortable. Vivian's collapse came faster than I'd imagined. The day after the press conference, I heard she was fired by the company. Reason was loss of control at the scene, damaging company image. Her smashing the tablet was photographed, went viral in industry group chats. A week later, I ran into Nadia at the supermarket. Maxwell, she actively greeted me. About Vivian's matter, I'm very sorry. I really didn't think your patent was worth that much money. If you'd known, would you still have advised her to add the future revenues clause? I asked. Nadia fell silent. You would have, right? I said. Because in your eyes, an unemployed programmer, how could he possibly have a patent worth 4.8 million? You did not know, you simply didn't believe. This is the price of prejudice. Nadia sighed. Landon's matter. Do you know? Know what? He ran away, Nadia said. Took Vivian's 200,000, plus several other investors' money, over 2 million total. Police have already filed a case now. I wasn't surprised. Vivian now, Nadia said. She's unemployed, money was scammed. Her whole state is very poor. Her parents want her to return to her hometown, but she refuses. I said nothing. Don't you feel even a little sympathy for her? Nadia asked. Why should I sympathize with her? I asked back. The biggest prerequisite for sympathizing with someone is that they deserve sympathy. But Vivian isn't a victim. She's a victim of her own choices. She chose to believe appearances, chose to ignore essence. She chose to abandon marriage, chose to chase vanity. She chose to love wealth and despise poverty, chose to burn bridges. Each of these choices was made by her. No one forced her. Now, she's just bearing the consequences of her own choices. Nadia looked at me, eyes very complex. You've changed. No, I said. I've always been like this. It's just that before, you all thought I was weak and easy to bully. Now you've discovered you can't bully me anymore. I turned to leave. Nadia said behind me, Maxwell, you know what? Vivian says what she regrets most isn't not getting that 4.8 million, but losing someone who was genuinely good to her. I stopped walking. Then what she should regret even more is, I said, she never cherished that genuine heart. 2 months later, I ran into Vivian at the coffee shop downstairs from my company. Yes, I now have a company. Not going to work at Vision Tech, but starting my own business doing technical services. Using part of that 4.8 million as startup capital, hired a few like-minded technical people, taking on some algorithm optimization projects. Not big, but very solid. Vivian had lost a lot of weight, wearing very ordinary clothes, no makeup. She looked several years older than her actual age. Maxwell, she actively greeted me. Hello, I said. I changed jobs, she said. Now at a small company doing copywriting. Salary isn't high, 6,000 a month, but it's enough. That's good. Landon's matter. Police have already filed a case. She said quietly. He didn't just scam me. My 200,000 basically can't be recovered. I nodded, said nothing. I'm not here to ask for money. She seemed to see through my thoughts. I just wanted to say sorry. Sorry for what? Sorry for looking down on you so much back then. Her eyes were a bit red. Sorry for forcing my values on you. Sorry for not being able to see your worth. I looked at her. This once refined and proud woman now looked very ordinary, very tired. I accept your apology, I said. But this doesn't mean we can go back to the past. I know. She wiped her eyes. I just wanted you to know I was wrong. You were right. True value isn't shown off. It's accumulated. That's good then, I said. At least you understand now. She turned to leave, then stopped. Maxwell, are you doing well? Pretty well, I said. Have my own company, doing what I love every day. Very fulfilling, very free. That's good. She smiled. That smile held both release and bitterness. I wish you all the best. You too. Watching her walk out of the coffee shop, I remembered what Mother said before she died. Maxwell, not everyone can understand value. But you must remember, those who can't understand don't deserve to possess it. I picked up my coffee, looked at the city outside the window. In this city, there are too many people like Vivian. They chase glamorous appearances, but can't see where true value lies. They believe packaging over content, believe filters over reality. They define success through social media, prove themselves with designer brands. They live in others' eyes, but lose their own lives. There are also too many people like Landon. They're proficient in the art of packaging, understand how to exploit human weaknesses. They know most people can't see through appearances, so they manufacture exquisite illusions. They sell dreams, harvest victims, then escape unscathed before exposure. But there are also people like me. We're not good at performing, not good at socializing, not good at marketing ourselves as successful people. We just quietly do what we consider valuable in our own fields. Not to prove anything, not to show off to anyone. Just because we believe in what we're doing. We believe true value doesn't need packaging. Time will prove everything. Evening, I returned to my rented place. Yes, I'm still renting. Not that I can't afford to buy, but there's no need. 2 bedrooms and a living room, 95 square meters, monthly rent $6,500. Enough. The study has a whole wall of bookshelves, 2 pots of pot hose on the windowsill. On the computer screen is my newly started project, an algorithm about AI image recognition. Maybe in a few years, someone will be willing to buy this algorithm too. Maybe not. But that's not important. What's important is I'm doing what I love, creating true value. Rather than on social media, using filters and staged photos to fake a false life. I opened my computer, started writing code. The screen's light illuminated my face. Keyboard sounds especially clear in the quiet night. This is my life. Simple, real, valuable. I don't need to prove anything to anyone, because time will prove everything. Many people ask me, do you regret it? Regret what? Regret not telling Vivian the truth earlier, letting her take half? No, because if she'd known, she would have stayed. Not because of love, but because of money. That kind of marriage is scarier than divorce. Regret making her suffer the pain of losing everything? Also no, because what she lost was never something I gave her, but something she threw away herself. I just let her see what she threw away was actually worth. Some say I'm deeply calculating, setting traps step by step. But I want to say I didn't set any traps. All the traps were set by herself for herself. I just locked the door after she set the trap and jumped in. What does this story tell us? Don't judge value by appearances. Don't believe all packaging is real. Don't think people who talk well necessarily have ability. Even more, don't use your own shallowness to measure others' depth. Because when you mock others for doing useless things, you might be missing a gold mine. When you boast about getting everything, what you threw away might be most precious. What Vivian ultimately lost wasn't 4.8 million. She lost someone who could slowly become wealthy with her. someone willing to give her his everything, someone truly valuable. And these things can't be bought back with any amount of money. If this story satisfies you, please like. If this story makes you think, please comment. If you've also experienced moments of being misunderstood, please share. Because in this world, everyone who quietly works deserves to be seen. Everyone who persists in value deserves respect.